There are multiple ways you could conceptually view the game of poker, but one of the more interesting ways to view the game is through understanding trends. Trends have emerged in this game because there was this rapid explosion in poker knowledge. For example, 30 years ago, the concept of position wasn't as well documented and discussed as it is today. People were probably raising from every position, not really understanding how valuable being in position actually is. Now, because so many people understand the importance of position, if a type player who seems to know, what they're doing raises under the gun, the general assumption is that the player is very strong. That's one of the reasons we can create statements like he or she would never do this with X, Y, or Z. The theme of these past videos has been adjustment because poker is a game all about learning to actively adjust. One of the biggest mistakes players are making in today's game is that they are falling into trends. They aren't thinking ahead of them and they aren't attacking them. So many players, especially at 1-2 and 2-5, just play the game the same exact way. You still have the nuts who have no idea what they are doing, and no matter what, you're going to have those kind of people. But then you have pretty aware, decent thinking poker players who play the same exact tight aggressive game. Fold, fold, fold. Oh, this hand has value. Let me raise in position. Now listen, I'm not saying that this is wrong or bad. It definitely isn't. But this standard way of playing poker does not reflect the ability to adjust, and most importantly, the ability to identify and stay ahead of the trends that are happening at your immediate table. The problem with average poker players today is that they have no attack to their game. That's why they don't know how to make money unless they are dealt the nuts every single hand. There are so many mistakes players are still making, they're just making different kinds of mistakes. You need to be able to spot the trend and then play a strategy that exploits it. Players get very frustrated when the way they play the game doesn't fit into the current trend at the table. I've had players complain to me literally hundreds of times about the fact that the people they are playing with are idiots and they can't be predicted and they suck out and blah, 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 blah. The reasons why players get frustrated is because they have learned to play the game a certain way, and when the game that is being played around them is different, they don't know how to actively adjust. So they complain. And here, I want to ask you two important questions. One, are you able to see the trends at the table and not just, he raised and he folded, but really understand the flow of the game and have a solution to play against it? And second, what trend of poker education did you fall into? Were you the player who learned to play tight ABC game by, reading some classic poker books? Or did you learn how to play by watching online videos? Are you obsessed with mastering GTO strategy right now, even though no matter how many times you try, you can't really understand what it is? The same way there are trends in the game, there are trends in the education of poker players. Most players don't do their work. They learn a style and that becomes how they play. They don't actually learn how to think and change and when to switch up their style. Also, another big problem is when players learn to play in a specific trend and then can't apply it in their actual game because those players aren't at that level. For example, I have seen players who really understand how to narrow an opponent's range and what to do when there's a lot of 3-betting and 4-betting because they have seen these scenarios broken down dozens of times in online videos. However, you drop them in a loose passive game where maybe someone will 3-bet every other hour and they have no idea how to play and end up getting immensely frustrated because their opponents don't play the style they learned to play against. This is why I say players have no attack. There is often no dedicated thought process towards really understanding your opponents. Poker is this amazing, information gathering opportunity because most of the time you're out of the hand. Most of the time you can pay attention to the information around you and extract trends of your opponents. The average poker player does not do this. They check their cell phone and, the people who do pay attention don't do it correctly or don't do it enough. In the Cash Game Fix, I will not be teaching you the top 3 spots to bluff sort of bullshit that plagues the poker world. I will show you how to deconstruct your opponent's game so you can understand what trend they have and what trend they fall into and how you will learn to actively attack that trend or that style. Also, one of the aspects of this course that I am so proud of is that I will be expanding greatly on player taxonomies. We can understand players at a much deeper level if we can reverse engineer their actions and learn how they learn to play poker as opposed to if they are simply loose aggressive or tight aggressive. Or loose passive or tight passive. If you are frustrated with certain types of opponents, you haven't learned to adapt and your game is broken. It would be an absolute pleasure to fix your game by completely rebuilding how you think at the table. Head to schoolofcards.com/the-fix to learn more about our 8-week training program. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out to me personally at blake@schoolofcards.com.